Cummins Swap, Part 6. Okay, this is Part 6 of where I put a 1995 P-Pump 12-valve Cummins in my 1972 Ford Crewcab. If you haven't watched any of the other videos, there's 5 of them up already. This is Part 6. Let's do a couple updates of what I've done. I've been picking away at it throughout the week. So, last time we left off, just finished the power steering, just finished the gauges and stuff. I've got the air compressor mounted now. I had to change the back part of the air compressor to one with this style fittings. I found out about this piece from a guy on the Fummins Tech Facebook page. He had the part number and stuff, so that came out of Cold Hose in Florida. Worked great. So the air conditioning is all on, the belts are all on and stuff. Underneath the truck, I've got all the fuel lines run, both a main line and a return line. For the return line, I just plumbed it into, let me flip the seat forward here. I just plumbed it into the filler neck like that. That way I didn't have to take my fuel tank out and drill a hole and weld. So, I don't know if you can see it in there. The transmission lines are also run up to the front. They just have to hook back into the rad. This is all just factory stuff from the Dodge. I just put it on, no modifications required. Easy peasy. Other than where that heat exchanger used to be, I did remove that and just put a splice in it. There's the splice back there. And I also took my original transmission temperature sender and just used a bushing and put it in the bung where the factory Dodge one used to be. The drive shaft is cut and it's just sitting in there. It still has to be fully welded. I don't have a lathe, so I'm going to send that to my friend Ken and he can chuck it up in his lathe, make sure it's straight and weld it up for me. This is the original Dodge yoke and this is the original Ford drive shaft. So I had to cut about 12 inches or so out of there, but they're the same diameter, so it worked out pretty good. Right now I'm currently working on the speedometer cable. So what I've done, this is not my idea. I once again got this idea off the Fummins page. So the original 47RH Dodge transmission had this electronic pulsar sending unit on. So I took that off and the, forgive the lighting here, my light sucks. So this is the Ford speedometer cable. And when you take this guy out, the cable, oh, and you got to take the Ford gear off. The cable actually goes right in there and it works great. Turns the speedometer. And the original bolt hole even lines up with the original bolt hole that held this thing in. So that works great. The only catch is it doesn't seal. This Ford end is considerably smaller than this Dodge end. So I am currently dissecting this piece, cutting it all apart with the hopes of maybe urethaning or something this onto the end of the Ford one just to fill that hole. So that's what I'm working on right now. I have no idea if it'll work or not, but we'll figure it out. And we'll figure something out. So I just found a hole saw that was the same size, diameter as the hole in the C6 transmission, and I just drilled this out to that size. So hopefully this will slide back in the Dodge transmission, and then the Ford sending unit will slide in there, and hopefully it doesn't leak. if it even works. Okay, here's the moment of truth. So, we know this will fit in here, because it came out of there. And then, bump, 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 bump. Come on. Oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Thread that guy back in there. So the O-ring doesn't quite go in there, so I think I'm going to pull this apart and maybe put a little bit of some gasket right stuff on there. But yeah, I don't see why that won't work. It's exciting. All right, so next thing on the list, we've got shifter linkage. So normally I just take the steel rod, this guy over here. This hooked up to my column shift originally, and as you went down through the gears, it went doo-doo-doo-doo and pushed the shifter. But the Dodge shifter works backwards from that. Park is all the way at the back instead of at the front, so that doesn't work. So plan B was to build a cable. I was at Bumper to Bumper the other day to see Rick, and he had these two PTO cables in his own personal shop. So Chris let him go home. He got them, brought them back, dropped them off here, but unfortunately they just don't quite work. They're so close, but just not quite right. So what I did was actually spent some money, and I bought a B&M universal 5-foot long shifter cable, and it bolts up nice on the column here. It's got a little tab right here that we'll have to build a bracket for, and then underneath let's roll in here. It fits nice here. So what I'm going to do now is just build a bracket out of some 1/8" plate to emulate this, to hold this here. So loosen that off. There's a factory hole in the transmission right there that we can bolt to, and then this will just come off, have a little tab that slides into. You could drill a hole as well that this would fish through, but I like the tab idea because then I can take this apart and move it without having to undo this and feed the whole thing through. So that's what we're gonna do now. Let's see how it fits. Okay, that lines up nice like that. That guy should tighten up like that. We've got lots of clearance through here, especially because as this arcs, it's just going to move even further away. So I think that'll work. I think we can take it off and paint it black and then put it back. So with that paint drying, we can move on to the other side where we got this little bracket here. I think what I'm going to do is take this piece of angle that I found in my scrap bin, and I'll drill a hole right there that the bracket here will bolt to. Then drill another hole on this side that will go through into the firewall. So it should sit on the firewall kind of like that. Screwed to the firewall here, tab bolted there. And obviously I'll cut this like about that wide or so. We don't need a piece that big. That's ridiculous. I just bolted both brackets on, and Shannon, the lovely shifter model, shifter assistant, shifter something, the shifter operator, came down and we test drove everything and it seems to work good. We had to do a little bit of adjustment in here, but if the ever so lovely Shannon would just go through the gears, reverse, neutral, drive, second, first. And back to park. Huzzah! Look at that. Brilliant. Thank you, Shannon. Shifter is done. Okay, we got the steering is done. The shifter linkage is done. I just put the other ground cable on. Well, it's still easy to get here. And I just changed the fuel filter. Primed it. I almost had a uh-oh moment and realized I couldn't get the fuel filter out, but it just sneaks through between the booster and the manifold here. So the fuel filter's changed. I think everything in this kind of area is buttoned up now. So the next step is going to be start hanging the front sheet metal again. Then I can figure out where I can mount the rad, figure out where the batteries are going to sit. I'm going to run both batteries still, I think. Why not? Intercooler, transmission stuff. The drive shaft is at Ken's place right now to get trued up. And then I think everything underneath, once the drive shaft goes back in, everything underneath is done except for the exhaust. I'm kind of just avoiding that right now because I don't want to deal with it at this point. What else? I want to get it to the point where I can start the truck and drive it in and out of the shop. Reason being, as you can see, it's taking up a big portion of the shop, and this is a working shop. I work in here Monday to Friday every day on other people's cars. So by having this truck sitting here, it's been sitting here for like 2 weeks now, it's really cramping things in here. It's hard, there's not a lot of room. I've been kind of putting off jobs that I should be working on, and it kind of sucks for cash flow, as I'm sure you can imagine. But I mean, at the same time, I got to get it done. So I've been working on it a lot of evenings, every weekend, every time there's like a dead spot in between projects during the normal work day, I'm on it. Jim's been helping out on it as well during the work week. So yeah, if we can get this thing to the point that it will start and drive outside during the daytime, I can work on other people's cars. Then in the evenings, I can drive it back in, keep working on it. I think that's the next goal, is to get to that point. So let's start hanging some front sheet metal. Sheet metal is on. We've got both batteries sitting in here just to make sure there is ample room for the radiator, and it's working out pretty good. This ground strap works great. This side over here, need a cable stretcher or just relocate it to a different spot. Positive cable, same deal. So this battery must sit higher on the fender than it did in the Dodge, but that's not a big deal. We can fix that. I'm going to, for underneath here, I'm going to build some little brackets that the bottom of the rad sits in. This little guy on the other side is missing, so I'm assuming that it probably got stuck in the rad support on the Dodge when I pulled it out. and I just never noticed because I didn't know that thing even existed. So I have to source another one of those. Maybe the dealership has one, I don't know. But yeah, gonna build a little bracket off there that sits in. And then up top here, we can just build a little triangle bracket that gets welded on here for the upper rad mount. Alright, look at that. That piece should go on like that. And wabamo, we can weld it on. Are you guys getting tired of me showing off with that plasma table yet? You know what's cool about that plasma table though, is all these pieces that I'm making, it saves them. So if I have to make them again, it's not a huge deal. The video that I built with my motor mounts and stuff, a guy on the Funman's page saw it and he got a hold of me and is all like, hey, I'm doing the exact same thing. Do you think you could build me a set of motor mounts? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I just cut off another set, threw them in a box, and mailed them off to California for him. So if you're building something and need some brackets, let me know. Happy to help. Both bottom tabs are welded up. I just put a little lug nut in there to emulate the space that the little rubber guy I'm missing should take up. For the top, I cheated. I didn't even make little triangle tabs. I just took a couple fender washers and a 1/4-inch nut and just welded it right to the rad support, and it worked great. That's nice and solid. So yeah, rad is mounted. Obviously once it comes apart, because I'm going to paint all this, once it comes apart I can weld the back side of this, and up in here I can weld the inside of that, but we'll do that when it comes apart. I think I'm going to try to start it. Why not? So I don't have anything kind of wired up to the truck yet. I've just got this battery hooked up, and since the cable doesn't reach this battery, I've just got them bolted together like they would be from the factory. For safety, I've got this vice grip here so that this doesn't rattle and spark out on the inner fender. Vice grips always work good for safety. And to shut it off, because I don't have the fuel solenoid wired up yet, I just have a zip tie holding it open. So when I go to shut it off, I will use the side cutters that I don't know where they are. There they are, so I should be able to just go snip, and the fuel solenoid should shut it off. If not, I grab this old hunk of mud flap that I can take and snuff it out if I have to. But hopefully this works. I don't know. I'm not a diesel mechanic, so this could all end horribly. Fire in the hole, take one. That sounded promising. Come on. Running out of battery. Take 3. there's stuff leaking all over the ground. Oh, you know what? I got the transmission lines plugged off, and I don't think they liked that. And we got a diesel leak somewhere. Well, who cares? It fired up. Wasn't that amazing? So, here's the best part about that. I don't know how many people know this, but Shannon and I live above the shop. There's this whole building that we're in is zoned mixed use residential commercial. So we have an apartment upstairs, and my mother-in-law is visiting right now. Shannon's mom is here, who was sleeping upstairs when I fired this up, and she's not a car person, so she has no idea what we're doing. And I guess it scared the crap out of her, so that was, I don't even care though, because it started up. Shannon just found the fuel leak. I don't know if you can see it way back in there, the hose for the return line. I don't think you can see anything in here. Anyways, the hose clamp on the return fuel line is dripping. So maybe I forgot to tighten that hose clamp, or maybe we need to put a better hose clamp on it. But yeah, who cares, because it ran. Yeah, there's why the transmission's leaking. It's because those are still plugged. I kind of forgot about that, but oh well. Yeah, well, that was kind of exciting, I think. It runs. Woohoo! I'm going to wrap up this video now because it is like 5 o'clock Saturday evening, afternoon, whatever you want to call it. And as I just mentioned, Shannon's mom is here, and it's her birthday today, so I shall probably not hang out in the shop all night and do those things. But thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe, hit notifications. Check out the website, lgspeedcustom.com, where you can get cool hot rod shirts that aren't covered in transmission fluid and diesel and all that crap. What else is on there? We've got some Cummins parts on there now. Hot rod parts as always. Also, thanks again to the Caballeros. Make sure to check out their website, thecaballeros.com. And what else do I need to tell you? I think that's about it. Yeah, I'm going to keep plugging away at this throughout the week, next week, and hopefully when Ken gets the drive shaft back, we can move it back and forth, which will be rad. Oh, you know what? I never even checked if my power steering or anything like that worked. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We can do all that stuff later. But it runs.